Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I am really excited about today's video because today I want to talk to you about how I ended up on Amy Landino's podcast, Detail Therapy. So if you've been following Amy for a while, you know she is pretty awesome. I am a huge fan. I'm still a little bit in disbelief that I was on the podcast, but I was on the last episode. It aired on Thursday of last week, and I talked about tips to stand out on TikTok. So the reason that I wanted to make this video is because a lot of times on social media, you just see people's accomplishments and it seems like it comes easy, or you just don't really understand how it even happened. Or, you know, the person just kind of seems confident and you think, oh, like maybe I would never do that. But rarely do we see what goes on behind the scenes and even the imposter syndrome that's felt a lot of the time. This was one of those situations where I had a lot of imposter syndrome. So that's why I want to share my experience, share the story, and share the lessons learned. So if you want to hear all about that, stick around. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Okay, let's start with the story. I've been following Amy for about 2 years. I read about her story in Gary Vee's book, How I'm Crushing It. As soon as I heard her story, I was like, I have to follow this girl. So I found her on Instagram, I found her on YouTube, and I've been consuming her content pretty regularly since then. So that's kind of my history with Amy and her content from the perspective of me being a subscriber and consumer of her content. I do truly believe though that I manifested this into happening, and I'm not looking to sound all woo-woo or anything like that. A manager of mine gifted me the Hollis book, Girl Stop Apologizing. At first, I thought I was just a little too far ahead and experienced for this book because I already did a lot of what she suggested. But I kept reading because I thought, you know what, if anything, this is reiterating what I already know. And who knows, maybe I'll learn something else. And I'm glad I did, because there's a tip in there that she talks about writing down the 10 goals that she has every day in her journal and writing them as if they have already happened. So I'm a big believer in law of attraction. I've read a bunch of books on it. This was kind of one of those very practical exercises that you could do to kind of start to manifest your dreams in your reality. One of the things that I wrote in my journal for a few months was, I am invited to speak on podcasts and at conferences. And I wrote this down for a few months every single day, and I wrote it as if it had already happened. Fast forward to the day that Amy and I connected. I had just finished watching a YouTube video where she had announced the new Gatlu house website. And I went on to TikTok because TikTok has been my platform of choice lately. I highly enjoy video. I highly enjoy connecting with people, and it's just like such a fun platform. So I jump onto TikTok, and what do you know? The second or third video I see on TikTok on my For You page was Amy. So I immediately liked the video and I commented, and my comment said something like, "Oh my gosh, you're here, welcome." A couple of hours later, she liked the comment, and she was following me. And I tried not to freak out because I've been following this girl for so long. I highly admire what she's doing. I love her content. I feel so aligned with it. So I was like, cool, all right, she's following me. The beauty of TikTok, you can grow so easily and connect with people because it's so new. So of course I sent her a message. I let her know that I had been following her account since I learned about her story in Gary Vee's book. I also said congratulations on the new website because I had just seen the video, and that was that. You know, I was looking to not sound too much like a groupie, and then I get a message back from her. She said, "Great job with your TikToks. It seems like I can learn something from you on this app." And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I even respond to this? Because of course, I'm just like, again, looking to not sound like a groupie. But then again, it's like you have to remember, like, everybody is just another human being and another person. So I kept grounding myself with that thought. Like, Amy is just another human. She's a badass human, but she's just another human. So I made myself wait a day and a half to respond so that I didn't sound so desperate. And I told her everything I knew. I've been studying TikTok since I became pretty active on it. It's the fastest growing social network, and I really do think it's here to stay. The growth that they are experiencing is tremendous. So I've been pretty heads down on how to be successful on TikTok, just kind of learning about it. And a week before this interaction with Amy, I had actually just been invited to the TikTok creator program, which is crazy. I've never been invited to a creator program anywhere. And I've been on Instagram for such a long time. I tried YouTube doing makeup years and years ago. So I feel like everything was just kind of lining up at the right time. When I finally responded to Amy, I gave her a list of different tips that I had come across. And my last message said something around the lines of, if you want to collaborate on here, or, maybe I can bring up your book, Good Morning, Good Life, in one of my videos, because I read the book and I enjoyed it. And that in itself, asking for collaboration, took a lot of guts, because I was scared to ask that. I thought, who am I to ask Amy this? But you miss every shot that you don't take. If you don't ask, the answer is no. So I convinced myself that the worst thing that can happen is that she would say no. And that was totally okay. So I sent the message, and the next morning, really early, because of course Amy wakes up so early, the message said, "Do you want to come on the podcast?" And I was like, is this real right now? Is this really happening? So of course I said yes. I gave her my email. Her assistant emailed me a few days later, and I was like, because I still kind of didn't believe it. And once I got the email from her assistant, I was like, oh crap, this is real. We scheduled the interview for less than a week from when her assistant reached out to me. So I had 5 days or so to prepare for the interview. And mind you, I already knew a few tips, but I wanted to go in feeling confident. I'm doing research online. I'm looking for statistics. I reached out to the individual from the creator program that had messaged me. I asked her if I could speak to somebody at TikTok, because I wanted to ensure that the things I was saying were accurate. And I was, kind of taking all the right steps. But within my research, I realized that there was so many people that just were experts and kind of knew more than what I knew. And I started to have this extreme self-doubt. I almost messaged Amy's assistant to tell her, you should reach out to these people instead, because I don't know if I'm qualified for this. And I spoke to a mentor about it, and I sent these profiles. I was like, look, all these other people are so much more qualified to do this than I am. Why should I do it? I should just connect Amy with these people. I swear, you need to have mentorship in your life. You need to have a voice of reason, because we are our worst critic. Had this been, a friend of mine or a cousin of mine, there's no doubt that I would have encouraged them to do this. But because it was myself, I had this immense doubt. One of the things that really worried me was I only have 13.5 thousand followers on TikTok. What do I know? There's people who have hundreds of thousands and millions subscribers. And of course, he talked some sense into me. He brought up the analogy of a player and a coach, which is such a great example, because I'm a yoga instructor and I can't go do a walking handstand, but I can guide somebody through it, right? I can teach somebody it. And just think about football players, about the quarterbacks. They get guidance from their coach all the time. Can the coach now go be the quarterback? Probably not. So that really put things into perspective. I think in life, this comes up a lot. After I journaled about it and kind of convinced myself, there's a reason she invited me on. If she looked at my page and thought I wasn't doing a good job, she wouldn't have invited me. And obviously the tips that I had provided were helpful and valuable, or else she wouldn't have invited me on to share them with her audience. Henry Ford said, I've got my computer here because I wrote notes. Henry Ford said, whether you think that you can or that you can't, you are usually right. And I think that's so insightful for our lives. what we believe is what is going to become a reality. I decided to believe that I could. Lesson 1 would be the player versus coach analogy. The second thing that I learned during this experience is that it is much easier to feel confident when you are better prepared. The fact that I had reached out to TikTok, had a call with them, kind of got their blessing, really did my homework, wrote out my notes, practiced my notes, I felt so much more confident. You know, I think we have this misconception that if you don't know something, you just don't know it. But the reality is that we live in the era of information. You can figure things out. You can learn things now. When something interests you and you want to learn more about it, you can. That is within your power. Do not ever forget that. So those were the 2 kind of lessons learned, but a few other things came out of this opportunity that I also want to talk about. Before this interview, I didn't have a website. I didn't really have any consistent branding, but as soon as I received this opportunity and I had a timeline that my website needed to be ready and live so that I can offer the listeners a free downloadable of additional tips that I have for TikTok, I had to launch a website. I decided to launch a YouTube channel. I decided to create content to share these TikTok tips. It really just got a lot of different things in gear, and it was really stressful. And again, a lot of self-doubt along the way. But when you're given such a good opportunity, you really have to maximize it. This forced me to get my shit together because I had been delaying a website launch since the beginning of the year. We are in April and I did it in a week. So the podcast was recorded on a Thursday and it aired on Thursday. So I had 1 week between, you know, my day job and launching a new website, creating the downloadable PDF, starting my YouTube channel. I had a week to do that, and it was tight and it was stressful and it was so worth it. Now that it's all done, I am so grateful that I stepped out of my comfort zone and did something like this. And I hope this encourages you to do the same. I'm about to listen to my podcast episode on detail therapy. And I've been awake for about an hour. And I haven't been able to get myself to listen because I'm a little too nervous. But I did already have somebody follow me on TikTok and send me a message to let me know that they found me on Amy's podcast. So that's awesome. Oh my God, guess what? So you know the podcast that I was on to talk about my tips on TikTok with Amy Landino? It's live! I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the lessons that I learned, as well as having a little bit of insight into that self-doubt that we all feel and just don't really talk about. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to check out the interview. I'm going to leave the link down below in the description box. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.